Okay, so the Whiskey Painters of America, um, contrary to popular belief, we don't just sit around and drink whiskey, but we we are miniature watercolor painters. And how this group got its name was there was a gentleman by the name of Joe Farriott back in the 50s who traveled for his work. And he was also a watercolorist. So at night, he would retire to the local watering hole and paint at the bar using a little jigger of whiskey and his small pillbox of paints. And he carried his small sheets of watercolor paper in his shirt pocket, and I guess it attracted attention. And over time, he and his buddies formed he got other people interested in it, and they formed a charter in the early 60s. And now there are 150 of us across the United States. It's a national organization, and we all paint not larger than a 4x5 or 3x5 size image area. So it attracts a lot of attention. We have a lot of fun doing it. We have some very interesting bylaws, which I'll share with everybody in a minute, but I'm going to let Fran talk a little bit about how she got involved, and then I'll tell you how I got involved.
I got involved when I was doing outdoor art festivals. I was up in the Cleveland area, and two artists were across from me with their whiskey paintings, and I knew them, and I said, oh, I want to do this. So eventually I got in about 2015. You have to do small paintings, very 4x5s, enter those in, and they're juried. Everything is juried, whether you can get in or not. As a member, I get to have, I can sponsor 2 people within a 10-year period. And the 150 is, it will not get any larger than 150 people. That's the limit. So if you're interested in it, you got to contact somebody for the Whiskey Painters of America. And I use whiskey all the time. Most of the time, it's pure whiskey that I'm using. I wash my brush out in water and go ahead and paint.
So you paint your entire painting with whiskey?
Yes.
Oh, you're a purist then. I'm not sure that I do that. I'm a vodka girl myself, but
well, you got to sip a little, paint a little, you know.
I try not to sip out of the same thing I'm painting from, but I have to admit, I don't always use spirits in my paintings, but the ones I sent in for jurying, they were kissed with whiskey on the back, just for good luck. So, yeah, and unfortunately, someone has to pass, I believe, before there's an opening in the group. So
that's right.
I think I might have been on the list for about 5 years. My sponsor put my name up, and I didn't get a call for a while.
Oh, I think I was 10 years.
Yeah, so maybe I got lucky, but I'm eternally grateful to him. And then what happens? They get Whiskey Painters Board goes through your bio and awards and whatnot, and then if you pass muster that way, you're invited to submit 2 small paintings, one of which would, if you're accepted, would go in the permanent collection. And those are all shown on the whiskeypainters.org website. And then the other painting that you submit goes to your sponsors, which is kind of a nice thing. So the sponsor has one of your paintings as well. So it's kind of fun. And when I first was invited a friend of mine said, let's go up to the Whiskey Painters show up in Butler County, Pennsylvania. And we were living in Pittsburgh for a while. And I might add that because this started in Ohio, not a lot of people elsewhere know about the Whiskey Painters, unless you're whiskey painters like me that live in another part. And I've been trying to bring awareness here in Florida. about the whiskey painters. But we went to this show up in Butler, and because we knew Fred Graff, and Fred's paintings were in it. But I fell in love with whiskey paintings because they're miniature, they're adorable. And I want to show one of, yeah.
That brings up a question. Someone asked what's different about whiskey than the miniature watercolor society or group. Not miniatures, the miniature.
We're just, well, our specifications are, the paintings either have to be in not larger than 4x5. I'm not sure about the miniature painting society. We're just our own entity. So, I know about us. I don't know about them. I suppose you could probably belong to both things. But I want to share with everybody, this was the first painting that I bought. And I hope you can see this because I didn't want to unframe them out of the glass. But this is one of Kathy Wellner's paintings.
Kathy was my sponsor.
Yeah, my sponsor was Rock Prologo from Pennsylvania, but originally I didn't know anybody in the whiskey painters other than Fred, and I think he'd already sponsored people, so I wasn't going to ask him. But anyway, that began my collection of whiskey paintings. I wanted to take them all home, but my pocketbook at the time probably wouldn't have afforded that. So I know we're encouraged to trade with each other, but
Prices.
Pardon?
Prices. You cannot sell anything under $75.
Correct.
And some of them have gone for $1,500.
Yes. They're some of the better known painters command a higher price for their paintings. So yeah, they do go for quite a bit. So do you want to show some of your work, Fran? Because I know everybody's probably interested to see.
While she's doing that, someone asked a question, Jackie.
Okay.
What happens if a sponsor quits before you get nominated?
I don't know. And if Terry Milk is listening, she's the president of the Whiskey Painters. Maybe she could answer that.
Yeah, well, Robin asked that, of course,
I don't know. I don't think too many people quit. We don't have dues.
We'll get back to you, Robin.
Yeah, we don't have dues. We just, I believe we paid
$50 in the beginning.
In the
And
very
that was it.
beginning. The rest, the organization is supported by donations. So I don't know what happens if the sponsor quits, but normally people don't quit. So
Yeah, I don't think they have.
we don't have requirements like you have to enter so many shows a year. We do have shows every year, some regular shows. I think there's one up in Cuyahoga Falls, right?
Always in the fall.
Some of the comments have been, Robin mentions that on the miniatures, though, it's different, is they can be no longer than 1/6 of an inch, the size of whatever you're painting. 1/16 of the size of whatever you're painting. And the miniature,
Oh, the miniature.
Dean Mitchell sells his piece for $2,500 a piece on miniature.
Well, that's nice, but he has a nice name to go with that and a nice reputation.
No, we're not going to
He's in several galleries.
go ahead and show. We won't be painting today. It's not a demo. So go ahead, Fran, show us some of those. Explain a couple of those.
Yeah, let's talk about those.
Okay, a lot of times I like, these are from the beach. I do sketches first and try to get images from different things. And I have painted, I have plenty of rejects of my rejects that were much too difficult to do. I put everything on a board, sketch it out, tape it out, and then we'll draw it first, then put a piece of tissue paper over it, and then trace it onto that, and then take carbon paper, which I use. I found that if I use it put a pencil, cover the carbon with pencil, that it works much better than using the already carbon. And so you'll see how these aren't done, but this is kind of the
Yeah, show
idea.
him close to your camera so we can see better. So that's part of your chef series.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing. I've also taken it to the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
And last night I went down to the restaurant because it's down in Reynoldsburg, southeast Columbus area. And I gave him 2 paintings to let me keep
Fabulous.
on taking photos. So I get a big meal out of this coming up too.
That's nice. And this is a great way, I might add, to see, it's a great way to work out some of the problems of a painting as
Oh,
well.
yeah, because they're small enough, but believe me, it takes me 2 to 3 hours. Like you can see how bad that one was.
Oh,
So
I love that.
it needs reworked.
Show it up closer to the camera.
Okay.
I'll really embarrass you. No, I
This
think that's adorable.
Well, this is part of a midlife series that I had. I did 19 years of outdoor festivals, and that was a great. I did prints, five paintings had them in prints, and was my money maker. But you can see how bad this one was. It's the same as the big one.
I love that, though.
Yeah, well, it looks better in. That's a little bit more defined. I took the glass off everything, so I wouldn't have
Did
that.
you? I didn't know whether I should try. Maybe I should have unframed everything.
Well, it does take a while. And as far as a lot of times I paint with this is Winsor Newton's little case.
That's my favorite box to paint from. But we also, when we become whiskey painters, we get this wonderful little box.
Do you have it there? Mine's in
Yes.
Florida.
It's got the logo engraved on it. This is the official Whiskey Painters palette with it. It's got the little half pans. Now you'll see some other ones on the market that are not, they say Whiskey Painters, but unless they're silver like this, and you only get these if you are a member of the Whiskey Painters. So once you're accepted, you get this and a nice little certificate that says you're a member, and then your little book of bylaws and so forth, as well as I have that. Do you have your little tag there? Yeah, there's your.
Yeah, but it's
Have your
reading
little tag
backwards in the
there.
picture.
Yeah. And these are the little labels that we put on the back of our paintings that tell about what a whiskey painter is. And this is the little logo that you should look for to verify that what you're buying, if you're buying a whiskey painting from someone, that it has this label on the back. And that little logo is the official thing.
I love their saying in here, you sip a little, you paint a little.
Yeah, so let me read a little bit from the bylaws because this is hysterical. It says, to all whom it may concern, it is well known that artists have a reputation for being addicted to the fermented, distilled, and bottled juices of various grains and fruits, and also an incurable habit of doodling, sketching, drawing, or otherwise defacing tablecloths, napkins, bar tops, etc. It therefore becomes obvious that an organization is needed to funnel these great talents into useful and productive channels. In recognition of this need, a group of stalwart citizens, pillars of the Society of the Akron Society of Artists, and several other artists of renown have reformed the organization known as the Whiskey Painters of America. And then it goes on to say it's to promote the fine art of painting in miniature. But let me read from Article 5 in the bylaws, because this is hysterical. And I'm thinking it was written tongue in cheek. Some of it's very serious, but some of it's tongue in cheek. And I'm thinking they had to be sitting around the bar when they made this up. Number 1, a captive audience is always available with potential sales when demonstrating your WPA equipment while drinking in saloons or candlelit cocktail lounges. We urge all members to pursue this approach. Now, I don't do that. Dipping your brush occasionally in a 1-ounce straight shot of whiskey while demonstrating will create a high degree of interest and enchant your audience, especially if the medium is occasionally consumed internally. in order to keep fresh liquid on hand. Now I'm thinking back in the 60s, they didn't know that maybe imbibing in cadmium was not a thing you should do. But anyway, I don't do that. This unique performance of your artistic skills often enables you to acquire free drinks, whether the whiskey is in your stomach or mixed with your paints. Members should be constantly aware of the pitfalls now this wouldn't be appropriate today with amorous cocktail waiters or waitresses due to their peculiar desire to obtain free art from members of the WPA. And then number 5, it says, be proud and stay sober. And then there's a question mark. Always remember WPA is exclusive and the only organization of its kind in the world. So it's kind of fun, it's kind of
We're
fun.
elite.
We
We're
don't
an
take
elite
ourselves
group.
too serious.
Yeah, we're an elite group.
Jackie, could you hold up your palette again? Some people.
Yeah.
Some reason
So
they didn't have you highlighted.
you're getting a reflection in there, but it's backwards. But it says whiskey painters. And then inside it's got, of course, a little sable brush, and then I've squeezed my tube paints into there.
Yes.
I also wanted to share, I've got these other things I do because I do a lot of journaling, and I think that's, that's also leans toward why I love these little paintings. But this is the portable painter, and this thing is tiny. It just it folds right down into practically nothing. You can stick it in your purse, but that's good for journaling or doing these small paintings. And then, like you, Fran, mine is a little bit different color model, but the Winsor Newton half pan kit I think is my favorite because it has a little flask in it, which I suppose you could put whiskey or vodka in, but mine has water in it right now. But these are handy too for outdoor painting.
Right?
I think mine are older.
Yeah.
There
By the
you
way,
go.
Steve Sins with WPA is on. He wanted to say something. Are you there, Steve?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hi, Steve.
Hi, everybody. This is awesome.
Hi.
I'm so happy you're doing this.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
mine was going back to answer the question about quitting the group before the sponsor comes on. It's a lifetime membership. So nobody really quits the group ever. So the only way you get out of the group is, kind of going to see the big guy in the sky. So it's not a situation that happens. But yeah, continue as you were. This is awesome. I love it.
Great. Well, we're glad that some of the whiskey painters can join us today because it's such a fun group. But once I moved away from being up north in the upper Midwest, you don't hear about us too often. So, the last year, I guess 2 years ago, I got the exhibit going at the Lake County Museum down here, which I think we'd like to have it again here. And Fran has talked about maybe getting one down in her area, in the Venice area, about the same time. Yeah, so we could maybe travel to show between the two venues. So hopefully that might work out in the future.
Excellent.
Did you?
Bob Eof, do you have something to say? Bob? And Sally? Unmute yourself, Sally. You have something?
Yeah, I too am a whiskey painter.
Hi, Sally.
Hi. When I travel, and my husband and I do go to Europe occasionally, it's surprising to me that there are people in other countries who have heard of us as whiskey painters.
Really?
Yes.
That's great.
That's cool.
It is really exciting. Not too many, but occasionally you'll come across someone. I take my little paint set with me and I paint whiskey paintings when I'm abroad like that. And it's amazing the conversations that you can strike up with people when you're doing
I
it.
bet. I
Mostly
bet.
they're amazed by the tiny paint set. But thank you for
Absolutely.
doing this today. It's good. It gets the word out about our group. So
Yeah.
Bob,
Well,
did you have anything? Bob? Yep.
No, the name is Oaf, by the way.
Oh, all right.
Sorry.
Terry, anything?
Hi, this is Terry Milk. I'm the president of the Whiskey Painters.
Hi,
and
Terry.
Hi, Terry.
I wanted to tell you how much we appreciate your doing this today. It's fantastic. It is getting the word out, and we would certainly be interested in getting another show going down in Florida. So we'd love to pursue it. And I wanted to mention that one of the unusual venues where I sell my whiskey paintings is in the tasting room of our distillery in upstate New York. So I wanted to extend an invitation to anybody who's traveling through Long Eddy, New York, or anywhere nearby. Please stop by and do a tasting and see the artwork on the walls.
Oh, fabulous idea. Thank you. Yes, we will do that.
We need to get down into Kentucky.
Yeah, we do. Well, let me share a couple more of my paintings. And then I also have a collection of other whiskey paintings that I'd like to show. This is one of our white herons. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Highlight that first. Hold on, put that up again.
Okay. Again, I apologize for the glass, but unlike Fran, I didn't want to take everything out of the glass and then have to seal the back up again. So a lot of mine are more flora, fauna, Florida fauna and wildlife. This is, I paint a lot of koi. So this is one of my koi paintings. This is a mini. So this is 2.5 by 3.5, but it's a Florida conch shell. So sometimes I challenge myself by doing extra small. And, I'll go through a period of painting a lot of whiskey paintings, and then I want to paint really large things like full sheets and beyond that. This one, no surprise, one of the ones I bought at the Lake County show here was my friend here, Fran Mangino, my new friend. As I looked in the Whiskey Painters directory to see who else was from Florida and a Florida watercolor person that might want to do this with me, and there was Fran's name. This one I absolutely adore. My husband and I bought it at the show in Vermont. This is a painting by Jack Mulholland, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. It has 2 bears in it, but just very finely detailed work. And this is my friend that I met her at a workshop a couple years ago. My husband fell in love with this painting and we bought it. This is Paulette Grubb's work. It's a snow scene.
It's amazing what some of these it's amazing what some of these artists do.
Oh my gosh. This is now this is not under glass. This is Mick McAndrews. I wanted a different one of his paintings and my husband wanted this one. So I bought him this one and hid it from him and then forgot to give it to him on his birthday. So, there we go. It was small, so it was hiding in my studio under another painting. But that was that. And he has sealed his watercolor on paper so that it didn't require glass. And that was nice. Or plexi, I should say. This is the one that I wanted. It's a pier somewhere, but I love seascapes and sea scenes too. And then I have to apologize if Fred Graff is watching because I don't have this one framed yet. I didn't buy it framed. I bought it from him directly, but I love this because it's a martini glass with a cherry in it. So I will put it out to get it framed very soon. And this one is not a whiskey painting, but this is the only, and I apologize, I didn't have one of his paintings. This is the person who sponsored me. who was also a student of Fred Graff's. This is a very small painting, but not quite small enough to be a whiskey painting. So I was giving him hell today on messaging that I didn't have one of his whiskey paintings. This is from Rock Prologo of the Pittsburgh area. So that's my show and tell.
Tell more.
Huh?
Tell
Show
more.
more? Fran, do you have some more?
A few more, yes. I don't think I've showed this.
Oh, that's the series. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been doing the series of from the restaurant Scallies.
Yeah.
Only because you can see the guys cooking. They rearranged the restaurant so you can see them cooking.
Those are great. How do you stay out of the way of the waiters though with the hot trays of food? I mean, you
The
must
tables are right up, there's a half
Okay.
wall and the tables go right up to the half wall. So that's where I was sitting, and you know what? I think I'm gonna take my paints over and go paint.
There you go. It could be an attraction for them too.
Yes, well, I also thought they have one bar, a small bar with one bartender, and I'm going to be doing him too.
Yeah, he's going to feel left out if you don't do him.
Right. Now, I did, in the beginning, I was doing these kind of things. These are bands.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, blues bands.
Very cool.
And this one's from Florida on the beach.
People, they're cool.
Plein air.
Very
Plein air
nice.
whiskey painting.
Are you sitting at a Kiki bar or what?
Nope, right on the beach. In a
You know,
chair.
people, I found people on the beach are pretty good subjects because a lot of them, you know, if they're sitting in chairs and whatnot, they're sitting there reading or whatnot. They're oblivious to the fact that you're sitting under your umbrella painting them.
Well, when they find out now, a lot of the artists are finding they're painting on the beach and they got a square so they can sell their paintings because the people come up and want to buy them.
Yeah. So, sit out there with your square.
Right.
And sell the paintings too.
Yeah,
There you go.
they're not carrying cash. They're carrying their credit card.
And one thing I'll say about these little paintings, it's not that somebody can use the excuse that they don't have enough wall space, because you can always find some place to fit them in your house. They'll work in a lot of places where you don't need a lot of space to hang them. And they look cute grouped too.
Right. I sell mine for about anywhere from 150 to 200. What do you sell yours at?
Where we are in Florida, the market for me is about 125. If it's elsewhere and I'm doing a gallery where I have to include a commission, I go up a little bit. So,
Yes.
but they're affordable, you know,
Right.
as long as your name isn't Dean Mitchell or Fred Graff, you know, where you have a reputation.
You take a photograph of the scene too?
Do
I
I think?
A lot
Yeah.
of times I take the photograph. Yes.
Okay.
And if
Or at
I'm on the
the time-
beach doing plein air, I take a photograph with the painting and the background in it, so you can see it was done plein air.
That's a good idea.
Cool.
Do we have any more questions?
Oh, that's it. We're caught up. You want to show any of the visuals? I thought that kit was interesting to see.
Well, you know what? I would like to show some of the brushes that I use. People ask, do you paint? And I do have some of these really small brushes. I'll show them in relationship to my hand.
Hold on, let me highlight you real quick.
So I do have some of these, but it might surprise people to know that I'll paint with a larger brush.
Oh, it surprises me.
Well, you know, mostly I'm painting with these, which are a little larger. So this one's 3/4 inch angled. This one is a low Cornell, like a 6 round, and this one is about a 1/2 inch. And then this one's handy for doing little, I don't know if you can see it, like grasses. It's got kind of like the intermittent bristles or whatever.
Yeah,
There,
you can.
probably
You can
see it against my skin. But those are my favorite brushes to paint with. And then you can see behind me, I have like an assortment, like every other art junkie, of all sorts of brushes and whatnot. But I think these are probably my favorite to paint with. With the big one, I'll paint with the corner of it a lot of times and do my bigger washes with this, and then I'll go to a smaller round. And I don't paint, these are synthetic brushes. I don't paint with sables when I'm out and about. I just don't take those outside the studio, but I like the smaller ones that don't hold as much water when you're working on a smaller piece of paper. So
That's totally different from how I use.
is it? Well, tell us what you do.
Right there. Those
So-
3 little brushes.
So you're working small then.
Oh, for the
Right.
plein air, or
Yeah.
for the whiskey paintings.
Yeah.
And then I use this, which is for fabric. And
Is that your
stiff,
scrubber?
and it cleans up edges or
Yes.
helps get the paint off the paper. Because when I do paint, I paint everything and then I hit it with water and kind of scrub it off a little.
Yeah.
And that's what I did with the big one. It doesn't have white in it. That's
Yeah.
the paper showing.
Is that the big one that was in the FWS show?
Yes.
It's
My
that
other one that I did is just got out of the Venice Art Center.
Yeah.
So that's still in Florida.
So you haven't done too many of your little or your tourist paintings as small paintings, the beach tourists.
No. Oh, you were talking, you had said the other day that you liked,
The one where they were sitting in the chairs.
I have that drawn up on tissue paper, ready to put it down onto paper. And it's probably going to be like a 3.5 by 5.5 or 3.5 by 5.
I want to see it before you put it up for sale anywhere else. I might need it for part of my collection.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock somewhere,
It is.
especially in Florida.
It is. Do we have any other questions, Ron?
Let me ask a question. Like when you sell it for 150, I'm thinking the answer what it might be, but do you include a frame with that or pick one?
Yes.
Oh, these little ones? These, I did a show and these all were going for $175.
I include the frame with mine, but yeah. It just depends.
Just like
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
It has the paper on the back.
Yeah. With a little tag. We're supposed to put the tag on if it's a whiskey painting.
That means it's official.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody asked if you do pastels, Jackie.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yes.
do pastels, but not as whiskey paintings because they need to be watercolors.
In the comments, so they saw a miniature or a small pastel show in Orlando. Probably unrelated.
I have 2 pastels in a show down at Blue Gardens in Orlando, but they're not miniatures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Usually I'm 1/4 to a 1/2 to a full-size sheet paper when I paint outdoors or even studio work.
Mhm.
And doing these whiskey paintings, it does take like 3 hours sometimes because you got to wait till it dries or whatever. If it's wet and you drop some whiskey on the wet paint, it just moves out.
Well, sometimes I use that for effect, though.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
sometimes it happens when you don't want it to do that.
Well, when you're doing this along with your, with your painting, if you're sipping.
Somebody asked if you were in a show. So can I show this? Are any of these yours?
Yes, those are all mine, and that is at the Lake Museum of Art this past year when they had, or in 2021, I believe it was. We did the show there. So, and then I also have exhibited in the other whiskey painting shows up north. I did Vermont last year or the year before. And
That's coming
I've
up.
done, yeah, I've done the Cuyahoga show. So,
I got top award, People's Choice in Cuyahoga Falls
oh,
this past
congratulations.
year. Yeah, it was kind of nice.
Yeah. Now this again was the Lake County Museum of Art, and so how they hung them, you'll notice with the they hung them by artists, but they kind of interdispersed into the next artist, so you could see, and each of the labels at the bottom showed the person's layout on the wall, and then their titles and prices for the show that they had there. I know in a lot of places they're hung straight up and down in a line. So it just depends on the venue how they're displayed.
Did they have any people demonstrating?
You know, I guess they didn't, but what they did not for this particular thing. I think the one of the cool things they did do though was a speakeasy upstairs on the roof that was a separate ticketed event, and they had a whiskey tasting upstairs with some of the local distilleries. So that was kind of fun.
Can
That
you
would be good.
Can you go over one more time the process for joining Whiskey Painters?
So you need to find somebody like who is a member, like Fran or I, that would be willing to sponsor you. We're only allowed to sponsor 2 members, I believe, in our lifetime.
In the booklet, it said every 10 years, which I did not know.
Oh, okay. Well,
I read it.
yeah.
This time.
So you need to find someone like one of us to sponsor you, and we would need to put your name forth to the Whiskey Painters, and then it's a matter, I think, of and Terry could probably elaborate on this if she's still listening, but there has to be an opening too. So you may be waiting a while until your name comes up for consideration, and then there's a jurying process for it.
Okay, good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The first time when I did it, I entered, mine were a little too big and they sent them back to me. So
Oh,
painted new ones and sent them in, thank goodness.
yeah. Now mine were required to be a 3x5 size. What did you also?
3x5, yeah. Because
Yeah.
I read 4x6, but to enter 3x5.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the jurying, yes. Terry's there, Ron, and she's got her hand up.
Yeah, go ahead, Terry.
I just wanted to answer the question about prospective members. Each one of the whiskey painters is entitled to sponsor 2 other artists during every 10 years. So we're all qualified to do that. And generally it's somebody you've been working with or nearby. So then you can have kind of your own small whiskey group in any particular given area. We do have some openings right now. So if any of the whiskey painters are listening, you can go ahead and submit their name, and we send them to Steve Sens, as a matter of fact, and Steve
Okay.
guides them through the process, and they are juried. They do have to have exhibited in accredited watercolor shows before. So the more the merrier. Bring some new artists, and as long as they're qualified artists and they also understand, the tongue-in-cheek nature of the club. It's just the more the merrier. Just bring them on.
Thank you.
Marilyn?
Yeah. Pardon me?
Marilyn was on, I think. she
Oh,
wants to say
okay.
something about the miniature.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes.
Harriet, speak up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm interested in being sponsored.
Okay.
I'm a member of Florida Watercolor, and I'm also a member of the Miniature Art Society of Florida.
Okay.
So I'm already doing small paintings, and for the Miniature Art Society of Florida, the maximum image can't be larger than 25 square inches.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been exhibiting with the Miniature Art Society.
Okay, so you're already familiar. What's your last name?
Wasileski.
Okay.
It's WASIELEWSKI.
Okay. We can talk.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. And someone just entered and they've got to know, they didn't hear the answer to, you actually paint with whiskey?
Yes,
Yes.
wash the brush
But it
out.
doesn't
in water.
have to entirely be with whiskey, or it maybe just be a little bit of whiskey and mostly water. So
Some of the members pour a shot into their water, but I wash my brush out in water and use pure whiskey.
you're very daring. Do you keep a separate palette then for that, so it's not mixing in with your paint? Or I guess the alcohol.
Oh, the little those little pellets.
Yeah,
I use
you're
bigger
strictly
pellets when I
dedicated to
paint for
that,
other
right?
things.
Yeah.
Well, I would try to join the vodka man, sorry.
You what?
I would try to join, but I'm a vodka person, so.
Oh,
Well,
listen,
I think any
I
sort
read
of
on
spirit, any
Is
sort
there-
of spirit works.
Okay, is there a vodka painters?
You can start that, I guess.
I'm thinking
I
about-
went on online on some of the whiskey painters sites, and
Yeah.
they under their painting it did say vodka.
Oh, well, it changes.
So
And someone asked,
libations.
they went to the Facebook and couldn't find any reference on there, so maybe.
Oh, yes, let me mention the Facebook, the original Facebook page, I think looks like it was hacked. So Terry told me that there's a new one set up, and it is, I believe it's whiskeypainters.org. Now, on that site, on the whiskeypainters.org, the original members, so all of the people that have been members over time, some of the really famous people, and then just the rest of us regular people, we're all listed on there, or they're in the process of putting them up, so that what their painting was that they juried in with. So I would encourage you to look at it, all of you who are listening today and who are interested. There's just some terrific little paintings on there, and when you look at them, keep in mind they're all in miniature. So it's a nice catalog of all the members. And I also, now I'm not sure, and Terry, maybe you could talk about this, but I got a catalog a couple of years ago of all the paintings. Now I'm not in there because this was, before my time, I think, but it was a nice little catalog of things. So I don't know if this was just a special thing that was put out, or if it's done every few years, or how that goes.
I'm not in there either, so I don't know.
Yeah, but you've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Terry?
Yeah, that was done a number of years ago, and I would say we're probably overdue to have a catalog made of the current members.
Mhm.
And what we're going to look at getting some sponsors. If we could get some sponsorship, then because printing costs are a bit better
Sure.
than they were back then. Printing has
Sure.
become so much easier. And I just wanted to make a quick mention that it's not our Facebook account that was hacked. The Facebook is
Oh,
going-
I'm sorry. Did I say Facebook? Okay.
Yeah, no, the Facebook is fine.
Right.
And the fact that we had our website coordinator abruptly quit, and we did not realize we were up for a renewal. So we missed the deadline to renew our domain name. But the new domain name is much easier because whiskeypainters.org is shorter than whiskeypaintersofamerica.org. So it'll be much simpler now.
Agree. And it looks great, by the way. I don't know who did it. Was that you?
Oh, I
or
did.
some-
Yes, it was
Oh,
me.
it's beautiful. It's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
I like the landing page.
Thank you.
Sue, did you have something to say?
Yes, I would also like to join the Whiskey Painters if I could. My name is Sue Beach. Beach.
Cool.
A good name for someone who lives in Florida. Thank you. I'm a member of the Florida Watercolor Society and also the Tampa Bay Pastel Society of Tampa Bay, and a few other art groups in the local area of Dunedin.
Oh, I know Dunedin. I lived in Palm Harbor for 23 years. So I'll
Yes.
talk with you. There may be someone else that has asked me to sponsor them. So I'll have to, we'll have to see if there might be somebody else willing to sponsor you as well. So
Thank you. I do
Mhm.
appreciate that.
Okay.
How many total members are there again?
150 total. Terry?
Yes, we do have some openings now. So that's why for years it was full, but now there are some openings. And we are interested in getting really truly qualified artists to join.
Mhm.
But the one characteristic that I forgot to mention is you have to like to drink in order to join. Although I believe I am the only whiskey painter that has a distillery.
You have your own distillery?
We do. It's called Rock Valley Spirits. And if you want to look on our website, that's where I was inviting everybody to, if you're in the New York area.
Oh, okay. Yes, I will
And,
look that up. I
it
didn't
is-
realize that
It
connection.
is in the mountains and it's very picturesque. So
How cool is that?
it would be a fun place to stop and do some whiskey paintings.
Or have
And
a paint out.
I'll provide the whiskey.
Sounds like a
Oh,
plan.
Requirements to be the president, you've got to own the distillery, I guess.
There you go.
All right, I think we have one more question. The website is whiskeypaintersplural.com. Is that
Yes.
right? Okay.
No,
No,
.org. .org.
.org. Sharon, did you
.org.
hear that? She said whiskeypainters.com.
.org.
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 All right, we got a lot of comments saying, one said way too cool. Someone mentioned about visiting the Canton Art Museum in Canton, Ohio 2 years ago. And
Yes.
saw a bunch of the members in there. And so, man, we're just getting a lot of great comments about the show today. So it's good.
Fabulous. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and we really appreciate our own members who came. And every month we try to do some sort of discussion the last Sunday of the month. And for the whiskey painting people that have joined us, this is free to everybody, not just our members, for our Sunday last Sunday confabs at 2:00 every Sunday. You just have to go through the same process on our website. We do have out-of-state memberships now as well, but I'm not really pushing that. I just want you to know you can always join us for the confabs. They're not always on whiskey painting, but there's some sort of thing of interest to watercolor painters. So I hope you'll come back and see us again. And for our regular members, keep in mind that our deadline for the annual show is coming up the first part of June. And thank you everybody for joining us today, and we'll see you again next month.